Welcome back. Fame, fortune, and alleged fraud. New details emerging in the college admission scandal. Actress Lori Loughlin says that federal prosecutors are intentionally hiding evidence in her case. She claims that the concealed information would help prove her belief that her payments were legitimate and they weren't bribes. The scam is hitting Christmas. Meanwhile, the Hallmark Channel releasing a sneak peek of its first Christmas special, not starring Lori Loughlin. She's been a longtime actress there. Joining us right now is Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano. Judge, good to see you.
Good morning.
So let's talk about Lori Loughlin's case.
All right, well, we start with the premise of something called Brady material after a famous Supreme Court opinion, but it basically says in all criminal prosecutions, state and federal, if the government has information harmful to its own case or helpful to the defendant's case, the government must share that information. So Lori Loughlin's lawyers are arguing in an application they filed in federal court in Boston on Friday that the government has information helpful to her and harmful to its own case, which it's not sharing. What is that information?
Yeah, that's like exculpatory evidence.
Correct.
Exactly what the FBI did. They had evidence and transcripts when George Papadopoulos said, there's no treason, I would never do something like that, and they didn't give that transcript to the FISA court.
There's a lot they didn't give to the FISA court. So the public now knows that the government regularly, consistently, and systematically holds back exculpatory information in order to make it easier for it to get where it wants to go, whether it's a search warrant or whether it's a guilty verdict. This information that Loughlin's legal team claims the government is holding back is conversations that Rick Singer, the ringmaster here, and now the government's chief witness, had showing that some of the parents honestly believed they were making legitimate contributions to the college. If that is the case, then that's an essential element that the government can't prove, and that would mean the government's case falls, because the government must prove in order to get a conviction. And there have been no trials. There have been a slew of guilty pleas, but no trials. In order to get a conviction, the government must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that these people knew they were engaged in a bribery scheme, not that they thought they were making a charitable contribution.
Is this perhaps why she never took a plea deal in the first place?
Well, that's a psychiatric as much as a legal question, my friend, as to what was going on in her head. But the government, again, reacted when she persisted in her not guilty plea. They re-indicted her on a conspiracy
They added
theory.
more charges, didn't they?
Correct, yeah. Correct. So instead of facing the 1 month or 6 months that all the others face, she's facing 10 years if she's convicted of everything and if she's sentenced to the max on everything. The government doesn't like motions like this, as you can understand, just like the FBI probably wasn't very happy with Inspector General Horowitz's report. But the people are entitled to know what the government does with the power we give the government and in our names.
It's important to understand this, because with the other story, the FBI story, they used the tools that we used on terrorists against Donald Trump.
Yes.
Because they didn't like the guy.
Yes.
I mean, it's outrageous.
Yes, and I was surprised but gratified to hear some begrudging. I wasn't gratified they were begrudging, but some admissions from Comey. I realize we're switching topics a little bit, but it's the same thing, government misbehavior. When he said, I had too much confidence in the system, what he really meant was the FBI learned how to game the system. If you can't get a search warrant from a judge based on probable cause, go to FISA.
Listen,
they give out search warrants like candy.
I'm not buying his, 30,000 feet away from this. Also saying, as a director, I'm not given the details of any cases. Really? Then why was it being done in FBI headquarters?
He chose not to ask any questions about the application that he signed.
Yeah.
He chose not even to read the applications that he signed.
Or he's just lying. There's that too, right?
Yeah, do we believe his willful blindness? No.
I don't know. And I also don't know what's going to happen with the Loughlin case. But if that evidence exists and they don't reveal it, the feds have jeopardized their case against her.
Judge, it's great to see you.
Pleasure. Good morning.
Thanks so much, Judge Andrew Napolitano. We threw a lot of topics there at you.
My pleasure.